Welcome back to the Cossy Arsenal channel. My name is Cossy. Welcome back to a brand new video. Arsenal have done something very, very scary. We are signing Viktor Gyokeres as our new striker at the Emirates Stadium, and the whole footballing world is talking about it. But the question is why? Why is everybody afraid of Arsenal right now by signing one player? What makes Viktor Gyokeres such a very special player that everyone is afraid of Arsenal right about now? Well, that is what we're going to talk about in this video. We've signed a player that does absolutely everything a good striker should do, apart from maybe heading ability, and that is something that we can work on at Arsenal. So let's dive into how Arsenal have signed Viktor Gyokeres, one of the best strikers in the world, and why he's going to transform Arsenal forever. What is that special skill set that Viktor Gyokeres has that makes him a deadly player? Hit the like button for me, subscribe to the channel as well. Let's get into it. Now, I think the first thing you've got to notice about Viktor Gyokeres is his pace. He's one of the very, very quick players in Europe, but we're also one of the players that are quite very fast as strikers. Now, in Europe these days, we've got a couple of options for very quick strikers. You've got Hugo Ekitike, you've got Benjamin Sesko, you've got Alexander Isak, and a couple of others. But Gyokeres, when you think about his trademark goal, he's always picking up the ball either in a deeper area or somewhere close to goal, and is busting into space, is busting below, below players and past players, and that is his trademark goal. Now, I know many people are going to say there is no space for Gyokeres to run into the Premier League, but these are the same people who said Sesko would be a very good signing. And for me, Sesko is quite a very quick striker as well. And many people wanted us to sign Alexander Isak, and Isak is a very quick striker as well. So I don't take the excuse that Gyokeres won't find spaces to run into in the Premier League, especially with Arsenal's playing style. We can always adapt that. That is why Arsenal is signing in number 10 in Eberechi Eze, in order for us to adapt our game to fit Viktor Gyokeres. But when you look at strikers like Alexander Isak, it shows you something. There is space for to be exploited in Premier League games. Think about Mo Salah. Does Mo Salah really play in flat-footed situations, or does he have that space to run into and do his stuff? Salah has always had space to run into and do stuff at Liverpool, and so does Alexander Isak. And that is why Gyokeres becomes a very, very devastating option for Arsenal. That although Arsenal have a very good shape in terms of structure, we can keep the ball, we can have a very good field tilt. When it comes to Arsenal now creating counterattacks, we've got Martinelli. If he doesn't leave, we've got Gyokeres now, and we've got Bukayo Saka. That is a frighteningly quick front three for you to deal with. And what this is going to change at Arsenal, we are going to see more of counter-attacking goals in the team. Gyokeres can do that himself. Saka can do that himself. We have seen it. The goal that Saka scored against Liverpool last season, if you remember, against Andy Robertson, Ben White just plays that ball into space and Saka goes onto it, and the rest is history. And that is what this guy gives Arsenal, the ability to create counter-attacks and the ability for us to transition very, very quickly. Because this Arsenal team have been playing with Mikel Merino and Kai Havertz up front. The thing with those players is that they don't run off the shoulders of defenders. They actually run towards the midfield. And Gyokeres does it very well as well, and we'll talk about it. But Gyokeres has got the ability to just sense a pass and run through, right? So in terms of transitions, Arsenal are going to be better. I told you in my recent video that Arsenal are one of the worst teams at transitions and creating chances through the middle. And that is because we don't have runners to make direct runs towards goal. Gyokeres changes that absolutely very, very well. So that's the first thing that is going to make him a very difficult player to mark in the Premier League. He's not a static striker. He's a mobile player with a lot of pace. You can see him on the right-hand side. You can see him on the left-hand side. And he's got this ability to, just take on players and cut inside and finish with either pace or finish with strength or finish with a bit of finesse. The second thing that Gyokeres is bringing to this Arsenal team, and one of the things that are going to actually make him stand out in the squad, is his clinical ability and finishing ability. Oh my God, he knows where the goal is. And I remember, I think it was like around 2008, 2009, the talk was about Wayne Rooney, right? Wayne Rooney, and everyone was saying that Rooney is a special player because on top of what he does, on top of what he can do, he knows where the goal is. Gyokeres is that player. So he doesn't really care about how he scores. He only cares about when he scores, right? Is he onside? Is he offside? And he's always onside. Now, of course, the Premier League is a very technical league, and maybe he has to adapt to the likes of Brentford, the likes of Brighton, and their offside offside props and everything. But when it comes to the clinical ability, this is something that Arsenal don't have at the moment. Think about Merino. Think about Kayavas. Think about who else plays at centre forward at Arsenal? Trossard and the others. Trossard is a very clinical player, by the way. But Gyokeres is better. Gyokeres is as clinical as Aubameyang. Gyokeres is as clinical as the Eduardo, if you remember the guy. He is as clinical as those guys. So Arsenal just signed a number 9 that if Arsenal fail to score, but he gets one chance, he's actually going to bury it. And that is one thing I've always said when Arsenal were losing points from winning positions. In those games, Arsenal were not struggling to create chances, actually. It wasn't like, these teams are just pounding us and pounding us and pounding us. We were also creating chances of our own. The difference is that we weren't taking them, right? So Arsenal can now win games 1-0. Arsenal can now win games 2-1. Arsenal can now win games 4-3. Because you have that guy that is going to be roaming around the penalty area, sniffing out for chances, and it drops, he buries it. Now, defenders don't like a striker like Viktor Gyokeres. He's mobile, he's pacey, and he is very clinical. That means that one chance, one goal, right? Or two chances, one goal. That's a very, very difficult player to deal with. But I've not even talked about the third element of his game that I like, and that is creativity. So in the past 2 seasons, apart from him scoring 29 and 39 goals respectively, he has actually created 7 assists and 10 assists in the last 2 seasons, respectively. And that tells you that there is another layer to this guy's game that has been underappreciated, criminally underappreciated. I don't mean to say that, this guy is the most perfect striker Arsenal could get out there. Maybe not. Maybe Julian Alvarez could be better, or someone else. But when it comes to a striker that can create for others, this is what Thomas Frank said about Bryan Mbeumo. You don't find many players that score 20 goals for a team like Brentford and create, right, for others. A forward player that is capable of 20 goals, right, is a devastating player. And for me, Gyokeres, if everything goes well, I reckon he will score 20 to 25 goals in the campaign. Maybe Haaland scores more than him because Haaland is Haaland, But I reckon this guy scores 20 to 25 and he will assist about 8 times in the league because he allows others to run past him. He creates spaces for others. He creates chances for himself. He creates chances for other players. He's that complete of a center forward. You don't need him to be, he will not die in a game simply because you can't feed him. Of course, like I've already said, number 9s are like dogs, right? If you don't feed them, you're most likely not going to get the best out of them, right? But this guy is a team player. He's going to drop. He's going to pass the ball into Saka. He'll pass the ball into Martinelli. He will drop and link up with Odegaard and Rice. That is going to create a lot of fluidity in the team. Imagine he drops and then Rice occupies that space. Or he drops and then Martinelli comes into center forward. We know Martinelli is good as a center forward, right? There's a lot of exchange. There's a lot of flexibility. There's a lot of fluidity that's going to happen in the team just because of his creativity and just because of his, presence of mind of where his other, teammates are. I've seen him assist and I'm like, did he do that on purpose? And then I've seen him do it again. I'm like, okay, he did it on purpose. So he's such a very, very good player, especially in terms of being a team player. Now, one of the things that have been talked about, apart from the space, that he needs a lot of space to run into, he needs a lot of space to operate, he won't get that in the Premier League. Another thing that people are talking about is physicality of the Premier League and the fact that he might not be able to cope because he's coming from Portugal. And I was then, I'm thinking about it, and I was like, are these guys serious? Like, have you seen this guy? He is an absolute absolute strong lion. He's a strong lion. I don't expect him to be thrown off the ball like that. I don't expect Gyokeres to be in possession and then he's thrown off the ball like that. Now, it could happen maybe in his first couple of games, trying to adapt to the Premier League. And I'm not trying to make an excuse for him. He is a great player, and I don't expect him to struggle. But players do struggle at times, right? But in terms of strength and physicality, for me, he's going to fit in the Premier League better than Benjamin Sesko. Because with Sesko, we were talking about that ability of him to just have a good first touch. And one of the problems that he faces, he has a very, very bad first touch when he's under pressure. Gyokeres is kind of the opposite to this guy. I'm pairing, let me see, Gyokeres versus McGahey. He has a chance to win that battle. Gyokeres versus Konate. He has a chance to win that battle. Gyokeres versus Steven Botman and Newcastle. He's got the chance to win that battle. Gyokeres versus all these other defenders. He's got a chance. I'm not saying he beats every defender. I'm saying he's got a chance because he's physical and he is strong. He's got the strength to match up with many of the defenders in the Premier League and actually come out on top in those duels. And then there is the general center forward play and hold up play. General center forward play, I mean pressing, I mean dropping into the midfield to pick up the ball and facilitate transition, all those things. And then the hold up play, I mean, when Arsenal don't pass from the back and maybe Raya decides to play the ball, Gyokeres has got that very good center forward play, and Arsenal will use it a lot in the Champions League. We used it in the Champions League against Madrid and also against PSG, and it kind of worked, just that we weren't clinical enough. We didn't have clinical players and we didn't have clinical finishers. So what I like about his center forward play, honestly, is the fact that we're going to have a player that can link play. That is one thing that I've been desperate for. Someone that can drop into the midfield, link play, but then stay as relevant in the penalty area. Because with Kai Havertz, his link-up play and his hold-up play are excellent. But the problem with him is that he commits to them so much, he doesn't affect the final third. He doesn't affect the penalty area. So with Gyokeres, you're going to have him be in the penalty area and you're going to have him come and link up play. A bit like Mateta at Crystal Palace this season. He's been an absolute gem of a player. And then he is a bully. And the ability to bully your way in the Premier League is one such skill. Is it a skill that is underrated? Like criminally underrated. You've got to be able to bully players in the Premier League if you're going to stand a chance anywhere. And I honestly think Viktor Gyokeres stands a very, very big chance in terms of him, being able to throw off defenders and bully them like Erling Haaland. And then, of course, we've got that box presence to talk about. The best strikers are always going to impact the final third. The best strikers are always going to be good in the penalty area. You must have the ability to create chances in the final third. And I think that is what he does. He's got that, and then his positioning. I mean, as a good striker, you've got to be able to position yourself very well. Haaland does it. Gyokeres does it. So for me, Arsenal signed a striker that is definitely one of the best. The few weaknesses I can talk about is he's got the power to finish chances. He's got the power to blast the ball past your goalkeeper. Maybe it's that finesse, right? Maybe it's that finesse. If he can work on his finesse, maybe that's the only thing that I can even complain about. If he can work on his finesse, if you can work on his, finishing at times. At times it could be a little bit, too rogue. And then the headers. If he can work on the headers, like he can score headers, right foot, left foot, he's a fantastic player. He's a fantastic, fantastic signing. And Arsenal fans, you're going to enjoy him.